because I have it muted. All right.
Okay.
There we go.
Are we good now?
Is that better? Thank you.
Holy molies.
Good to see everyone in the chat. Good to see Movie Mike. Good to see John BTK. Good to see Robert Hudson. Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear us now. Move that back and just get Dave's shoulder in. Son of a bitch. There we go. All right, great. Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Jay Nightmares. Hey, I can hear you. Ian Rapash. Good evening, gang. Dylan Z Nightmare looks fire. Thank you very much. We are very excited about it. Dave's sporting the shirt over there, looking fire himself.
Don't forget you can go and purchase this shirt at any time.
No, plug our shit, goddammit.
Indeed. The link in the description box to our TeePublic site. You can go get a Dylan Z Nightmare shirt. But
that is where I got this shirt, and I am very happy with my purchase.
Also, we have some new designs up on our TeePublic.
Well, not yet. No, because they're not letting us upload. Remember? For
Son
whatever
of
reason.
bitch.
Yeah, we have like 6 new shirt designs that we haven't been able to upload yet. So they're coming soon. But guys, we are here to do a live stream and have some fun with you, and we have some extra guests. So, Robert, what is the point of this live stream?
So today we are doing a tier list of all and everything Evil Dead.
Indeed.
And if you see behind us, we got the book and we got the dagger, and it looks so good.
The book and the Kandarian dagger. Yep, absolutely. Let me cut out of the way of the tip there. So if you guys didn't see this whole last week, we did a bunch of Evil Dead coverage on the channel. We covered every single movie in the Evil Dead franchise leading up to today, where we put up our Ash vs. Evil Dead 3-season review.
Yep.
We reviewed Evil Dead Rise yesterday, and we did a 6-part cold open storyline that was edited by some guy, and it was okay. He did an okay job. Oh wait, there's a hand. There's a hand. Edited by our friend Jason Greer, properly credited in the credits of every single episode. In case he checked, I did go and say cold open filmed and edited by Jason Greer. So much appreciated for that. He did an excellent job with those cold opens. I hope you guys enjoyed the cold opens for the Evil Dead franchise. If you only saw 1 or 2 reviews and you saw the skits ahead of them, there were 6 skits in total telling a story. So I would go back and watch all of the Evil Dead reviews if you haven't yet. But we are here today to follow up the episode we put up this morning, which was our traditional Evil Dead ranking.
Yep.
Okay? We did that, Robert and I, and we did it from the fruit cellar. We are finally free of the fruit cellar.
We're not grounded anymore.
But yeah, the traditional ranking was us talking about every single Evil Dead property and how they ranked against one another. The tier list ranking is something entirely different. So let me get that set up real quick because I just realized that I did not preset that up.
Mercer, you're not. It's called. Your character's Mike. Damn it. Get your name right. God damn it.
No, Andrew has a storyline.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the best for him. Okay, hang on. What was I putting together again?
Our tier list stuff.
Tier list, right? Okay.
What we're here for.
I know.
What everyone else is here for.
Hang on. Relax.
Oh, my lantern.
Oh my goodness. I know. Well, forgive me.
Loud noises.
Loud noises. Okay, so that's going to work for part of it. We're going to leave that there. Hi, everyone. Okay. Next is going to be our... Hang on, wait. I got to pull it up on the desktop on our... Darkness. Andrew, I don't know what I'm doing. Hang on. Shit, I really should have prepared this ahead of time. Oh, boy.
I just think of
we're working through this live, guys.
His Mercer.
Oh, my lantern. Okay, so... We got this. We got the tier list ready to go. Here we go. All right. And we're going to get rid of
those
Bam Bam and the live we're going to get rid of as well.
Better say you better keep the king in the middle.
Where's the live? Anyone see where it says live?
Up your butt.
You son of a bitch. No? I'm just going to click
I guess
everything.
live is staying.
Fucking... Oh, wait, here we go. All right, got it.
Oh, it says live.
Jesus Christmas, Robert.
It's right there. You didn't see that?
Yes, I see it. That's the whole... Anyway. All right, so desktop capture. We're going to capture the Evil Dead tier list ranking on Photoshoppies. We're going to make it bigger. We're going to do a little bit of tinkering. Watch this. Watch this with the tinkering. All right. Guys, talk to the audience while I'm tinkering, for fuck's sake. Jesus.
Don't mind Cecil. He's just tinkering himself.
Quit tinkering on the floor.
Yeah,
God
right?
damn it.
I'm sorry.
You tinker too much, you're going to go blind.
I'm trying to tinker just right.
Oh, I've got some hot goss.
Oh, Lord.
Producer
no.
Dave got to see the
yes.
current version of the cut of TNN today.
All right.
And let me just say...
Well, I don't know what that means.
That's a good reaction from Dave. It is coming along
It's
very well.
moving along beautifully.
So you're happy with it?
I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy with my notes being taken and implemented, Vince's notes being taken and implemented, and your own notes being taken and implemented. It is coming out way better than I ever hoped.
That's great. I'll take that for sure.
And there is something about this latest cut. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about secret trips to secret states, and
I don't know what you mean. Go ahead.
But anyway, there's an element that's been added to the film since the original Inception. Like, the original cut or script had these shots in the film, but we hadn't seen them yet, and so it was very exciting to see those.
Bam!
Add.
All right. How do we like how that looks?
All right.
Is that looking good? Everyone like that?
I'm checking. Yeah, I'm looking on the phone to see how we're doing.
That should work for everyone.
Yep, we're pretty gravy.
Fantastic. So I can't monitor things on the screen here. We got to monitor via the phone. Did I put it on Twitter? I don't know if I actually put it on Twitter. Hang on, let me check the Twitter.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's gonna get messy.
Oh no, I did say we are live. Okay,
that
cool.
segment brought to you by Bud Light.
Careful, we're gonna lose a whole segment of the audience because it's Bud Light.
Nobody drinks it anyways. It's a shitty beer.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
Some people like to drink piss.
It's water.
Lord.
It's literally water.
Hot piss water.
God.
All right, no, this looks good.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. Ghost Mystery says, looks good. Okay. Greetings, gentlemen and Flick Fiends. What up, Steve? Good to see you. Jay Nightmare's in the house. Yep, okay, we've shouted everyone else out, I think. So let's move on and let's get this party started. Hang on, where's the... Yeah. Live chat. There we go. All right. Hang on. There we go. All right, so... Guys, we are here to do a tier list ranking of the entire Evil Dead franchise. Oh, thank you. Oh my God, you're so right. Hey everyone, welcome to the horror show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Robert the Wolfman.
And producer Dave.
And that's Jason.
Guys, we are here to do a tier list ranking for the entire Evil Dead franchise. If you've been watching the channel, you know that Robert and I have just gone through the entirety of the franchise. All 6 films, including the short film and the Ash vs. Evil Dead 3-season series. And then we also put up this morning, if you're interested, the traditional ranking, where we ranked all of the Evil Dead stuff against each other. Yep. So you can see how we rank everything 1 through 7. This ranking, however, is the tier list ranking. And I think this is much more representative for the Evil Dead franchise because... honestly, after Evil Dead Rise, this Evil Dead franchise has truly just solidified itself as probably the single most solid franchise in all of horror filmdom. As far as not having dips in quality that are just like so dramatic, every installment of the franchise is worth your time, is worth your energy. All 3 seasons of the show, I can confidently say, after having watched them twice now, once episode by episode and then once all back to back, I think that Evil Dead is the most solid franchise of any horror franchise out there.
Oh, I can absolutely agree to that. It's not they've personally never had necessarily like that bad movie. Like you said, like that dip in quality, they've only progressed and gotten better over time because they've grown that.
Except for the most recent one, in your opinion.
Well,
you
no,
can't say they've all gotten better.
Well,
because you liked it the least.
Well, there was issues, but again, presented wise, especially how it's shot and makeup stuff, there's those merits where you have to give credit where it's due.
Right.
And everything. Like, same with the 2013. Like, I still had issues with that, but overall, that movie in a whole, like, they did fantastic with how they shot it, the effects, the gore. There were a lot of merits where the credit should be due. I will give it that. But my personal favorite is like the horror comedy. I love horror comedy, especially when you play it together so well. Obviously, like Evil Dead 1 was their straight horror movie, and then they revamped it for that requel, is what like Bruce Campbell and them would call Evil Dead 2. And then they found that perfect formula, and they played it off of it so well.
Right.
And that's what I think made this franchise as popular and last as long as it has.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Dave,
And
what is your... Because I know...
I will disagree to disagree.
Okay.
Okay.
Because
Just to disagree.
to disagree, because I think it's not so much a horror film as this concept of horror. And that's what I think it is, the top of... So I'll agree that it is the best of its kind. But it's hard to compare Evil Dead to Halloween or A New Night.
Well, why do you say that?
Because it doesn't take itself seriously. And
that's the best
those
part
other
of it.
films take themselves seriously until you get to some of the sequels.
Some people might say that 2013 and Evil Dead Rise take themselves seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. And that is what we'll get to in this debate.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So hopefully I can bring a little bit of my own perspective.
No,
Well,
absolutely.
part of why I'm glad that Dave is here is because, in all honesty, Dave is my linchpin to the Evil Dead franchise. We watched Evil Dead
David
2.
Lynchpin?
You're not David Lynchpin. He and I watched Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness so much growing up. Like,
It's embarrassing.
literally so much.
It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. And he's the
No,
only
I'm
reason
right there
why I like Army of Darkness as much as I do. Normally, and even in retrospect, I feel like it's sort of... It's not the clown of the franchise, but it's the silliest of the franchise. But I still feel strongest. Well, no, my rankings don't reflect this. But while David's here in the room, my strongest... Evil Dead 2 is still my favorite, but Army of Darkness is right up there because I had so much bonding time with Dave over Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness specifically that I adore this franchise.
Yeah.
We loved Ash, just like you guys did, right? Just like I'm sure you guys did. And early on, like when it was happening, we were really digging on it because it was the taboo shit at the video place.
Oh yeah, well,
right?
like
Because the first one came out when we were 1 year old. Well, I was 1, he was 0 when Evil Dead came out.
yeah. I was still floating around my dad's nuts.
Evil Dead 2 came out when I was 7 and he was 6. And then Army of Darkness was like 7 years after that, and where we were like, so that's the thing. Army of Darkness is where I think that was David's and my entry point.
That was 1990 when that came out.
Yeah, and so I think that was our entry point because Dave got me like between this and Chucky, like right in the early 90s, Dave got me into both of these franchises pretty heftily. But honestly, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness just solidified my love for this franchise, and luckily I've never had to really, like I've had to with other franchises, be like, it's not the best installment, but it's one of those movies. I've never had to do that for Evil Dead. Every single Evil Dead movie stands on its own for a different reason.
Yeah.
And there's not many franchises that can say that.
Which is why I disagree, because I feel like it's very difficult to compare the Evil Dead franchise to other franchises.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So it really is on its own merits, its own thing, and it has both the elements that you would see in a serialized film, but also not.
Right.
And that's what makes it, to me, so cool. And
Well, let's jump into it then. So let's start off with the very first thing. This is 1978. This is Sam Raimi's first attempt, and it is a short film called Within the Woods.
Yep.
So this is how long was it, Robert? Like about a half hour?
This was about 28 minutes, give or take, and some change. So Within the Woods was Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell's concept movie that they shot and filmed to present to investors for the budget. Yeah, basically.
Sorry.
To get the money to make Evil Dead. So this movie laid basically all the cobblestone for what we have now. And even for what they did with the budget, obviously you don't have the good quality prints, so you can only find like the shitty looking versions online.
That cuts out at various points.
It's old. You can tell when they uploaded it was already old.
But it does stand out from everything else.
Absolutely.
Especially because it's the only thing where Ash gets infected early on, and Ash is the primary deadite for the entire thing. Ash kills everyone else in Within the Woods. So that's pretty cool. If you guys haven't seen Within the Woods, it's the Evil Dead story at the cabin, except Ash is the one that gets infected and he kills everyone else.
Well, the difference in this also too is
it's fucking cool.
Yeah, Within the Woods was it had like a book element, but it was more an ancient Indian burial ground curse. That's what infected Bruce's character, because even in this he wasn't called Ash. Him and Sandweiss and everything, the girl who played Cheryl in Evil Dead, technically they were dating in this one and shit. But yeah, everyone else, it still had that same basic setup of Evil Dead, of the two couples going to a cabin and shit like that or whatever, and finding this cursed object. But yeah, like I said, it was that nice building block of the future installments. It was still very creepy on their sound design, and I think seeing it in a shoddier kind of resolution, in a sense, it amplified the creepiness, because that was one.
It's very Blair Witchy, except 20 years before Blair Witch, or 15 years before Blair Witch.
That was one of the biggest things that grasped me to Evil Dead. For one, it scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, but it was the sound design of the Deadites.
The sound design of Within the Woods, both of us when we watched, it was even creepier than the actual movies, in our opinion. Like, the Within the Woods sound design was super creepy. So Within the Woods, we've got a few people saying they haven't actually seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's worth it's hard to find online, but you can find it online. Like, we watched a version on a random website that was uninterrupted, but it had gaps and things like that. But it's so worth seeking out.
At one point, they did have it on YouTube. Like, it gets taken off and put back up, so search it around. But
go ahead, Dave. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was with the audience who hadn't seen it.
Okay.
I haven't seen this one, so I'm not going to rate this one.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. But Robert, between you and I, considering where the franchise goes, I think Within the Woods is a B.
That's exactly where I was going to put it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Because again, because like
in the room they're already against us.
As cheap of a concept movie as like what this was. Again, it was building blocks that it set for the entire franchise. With this and Evil Dead being the two serious ones of the Bruce Campbell Evil Dead, it was fantastic for what they did, and it absolutely deserves the B.
All right, so the next thing is the very first installment of the official franchise from 1981, The Evil Dead. Now, I will say that for myself, this is one that I watched third. I watched Evil Dead 2, I watched Army of Darkness before I went back and saw the original Evil Dead, and that's where my confusion began. Because I was like, wait, this is very similar to the Evil Dead 2, except I watched them in reverse, and I was like, oh, Evil Dead 2 kind of remade the first one, but
it's a requel.
Like, yeah, it's a very weird situation, but Evil Dead 1 deserves its place in horror history for what it is, but it is not one of my favorite installments of the franchise.
Okay. See, so I've said this in in our reviews, if you guys watched those this past week for all of our Evil Dead stuff, is Evil Dead was the first horror movie that I bought as a kid with my own money, and I ended up having to return it like a couple months later after the parents ended up watching it because of one, little tree scene. But no, this movie scared the shit out of me as a kid, and a lot of it, like I mentioned when we were talking about Within the Woods, it was the sound design.
Yeah.
The sound design, and even the creatures, like the makeup effects for the Deadites. Being a kid, like you've only seen so much, you know. By the time you're like 8, 9, obviously we were in the 90s and before, so we weren't exposed to as much as what kids are nowadays. But I always loved this movie, and I rewatch it tons of times throughout the year. I don't have anything bad to say about it. Like, I absolutely love this.
It's good. I mean, it's got slightly aging effects.
Well, obviously, it's going to, because it was either between stop motion or in the
So where do you put it? Do you put it A or do you put it B?
I would put it A.
Hang on, let's get through all of
Okay, all right, yeah, okay.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, because Dave can...
So you are rating on this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn it! You chose to be off camera. Disembodied voice says... Go ahead, Dave.
So is that... I just want to make sure you finished your...
Yes.
Okay. So there's two ways to judge this film. One is to watch it from the perspective of this is what launches an entire empire of fantastic horror comedies. Or you watch it as a standalone and take it as seriously as it takes itself, which of all the films, Evil Dead takes itself seriously in the first film.
Except for 2013 is more serious.
Okay.
But yes.
We'll get to that.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt
But
you.
as far
Apologies.
as the same situation that I was in was seeing that movie third.
Yeah.
Versus seeing that first and then seeing the Evil Dead 2 and then Army of Darkness.
Right.
To see it scale up was probably a different experience than seeing it scale way
down.
down.
Right.
And so, yes, some of the effects are dated. They attempt to make things that are scary both so scary that they're comically funny, or they really ride the line of, well
they went with tree rape. They did tree rape in this,
but
and then skipped it for Evil Dead 2.
That was a brutal fucking scene.
Yeah.
But either way, my point is that there are elements that they kept from the very first film and brought into the second one and made them better and better and better throughout the series. That Evil Dead still is worth watching. It's a great film. It is what it is.
It's a classic, but it's not the best version of it.
And I feel like you have to know a little bit of the story to really appreciate the film. Otherwise, it is just a very low budget, horror movie out in the woods with some extreme silliness. If you're not used to that silliness that happened as if it were real scariness way back in the day,
Right.
Versus nowadays it has to be like terrifying, and it can't just be scary. It's got to be terrifying. But the thing I love about the entire series is the same reason I love roller coasters, because I'm terrified and laughing the whole time.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that is what Evil Dead does very, very well. And I can't say that there is another franchise out there. Chucky, at some parts, definitely has it, but it's not the same. And I enjoy this franchise more than I enjoy the occasional chuckle from Chucky.
That is a well articulated and appreciated point. Thank you very much. So it sounds to me like you'd put this in an A.
I would say a B or an A. If you guys were both leaning towards A, I'd agree with you.
I think he's leaning towards A. I think I'm leaning towards B.
All right, well then it's a B. Sorry.
Voice off screen. Would you put it in A or B?
I put it in B.
No, the B wins.
You're just saying over there to be a twat.
I just watched.
You're just trying to be part of the other kids.
Listen,
huh?
it's definitely not a C.
Oh God, no.
Okay?
Oh no, of course not.
And it's definitely
I don't
not
think
a D or
anything
an
dips
F.
below a B in this whole
It
thing.
is what it is. It's still fun to watch.
Rise
And
to
if
F.
you've never watched any of the films, watch that one first.
Well,
so that you're not spoiled before you watch that first one.
I still think
And
2013 is the better version of this story, but
on its own, it's worth a watch.
yeah.
And then
If you have someone that's like, I'm
Going
willing to
back.
watch a horror movie, and you have Evil Dead 1981 and Evil Dead 2013, which are you showing people?
the first one.
I go 2013.
I'm already going back with 81.
You're going
All right.
off screen.
81 just because it's the original.
All right. Well, I'm
All
not
right, so
voting
let's
on
do that one next then.
All right. Well, no, not
No,
next.
we-
No,
no,
we
no.
got to go. Let's go in order.
Yeah,
We're going in order?
We're going
Yeah,
in
we have
order.
to.
What
Yes.
sort of bullshit is this?
Have you never watched our tier list?
Tier list?
They don't go in order.
We go in order every time. All right.
right.
So I think this is quite honestly, we're talking about Evil Dead 2. Guys, this is the best of the franchise.
Yeah.
This is S tier, easy S tier. No arguments, no discussions to be had. It is the peak of gory, fun horror mixed with comedy. Like there is none higher than Evil Dead 2 when it comes to silly, gory fun within the horror genre. It set a benchmark. It set a whole fucking mood. Everyone knows Evil Dead from Evil Dead 2.
Yep.
Quite frankly, everything, Evil Dead 2 is an improved version of Evil Dead, which is a much improved version of Within the Woods. However, there is none higher than Evil Dead 2. It's just phenomenal. It's the perfect mixture of scary, gory, and funny. I don't know what else there is to be said.
No,
It's an easy S tier.
Well,
for me.
absolutely. Again, it was Sam, Rob, and Bruce perfecting their future installments, and it's like, okay, well, this is actually probably the best way we can take it, and that was the peak of it. Without this one, like if it went more serious, even Army of Darkness would have just been straight probably horror. But the fact that they were able to introduce that horror and comedy elements so well without taking themselves super seriously, because even there's some movies that they try to play on that horror comedy stuff, but they lean on the seriousness too much, and it doesn't play well. How, again, another more kind of recent movie that played really well on like the horror comedy tropes was Tucker Dale vs. Evil.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fantastic movie that played both sides very well, which same thing with Evil Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
But also, too, it gave us the iconic character of Ash.
Mm-hmm.
The chainsaw hand, the boomstick, everything. That's exactly where we know. Because Evil Dead 1, Ash was a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was a puss. Like, technically, Scotty had the bigger balls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just saying, like, Scotty was the one out there trying to fight shit, and Bruce's character was just kind of hiding off in the corner, scaredy half the time. But no, absolutely, Evil Dead 2 is absolute S tier. I have no issues, nothing bad ever to say about this movie.
All right.
Once again, I'm going to say,
Oh boy, here we go.
from two different perspectives, if Evil Dead 2 is the first introduction to this franchise, it's S tier for sure. It is a better version of the first two films. It is a culmination also of Sam Raimi coming into his style, coming into his own as a director, because there are so many moments from Evil Dead 2 that are, I don't want to say done again, but you can tell that he learned these moments from Evil 2 in the Spider-Man films, in the Darkman film, and he brought so much of himself out in this third version, like someone learning themselves through the first two iterations of this film. Because I feel like the first, I haven't seen the short film, but Evil Dead seriously feels like a dress rehearsal for Evil Dead 2. And they figured it out for Evil Dead 2.
Within the Woods feels like a dress rehearsal for Evil Dead. For sure.
And so by the time Sam Raimi's making his second feature film, he's got his legs underneath him. He knows more what's funny, what isn't funny. And when you're shooting on a low budget and shooting on film, you really do have to have these moments predetermined. And I feel like they had so many of these moments in Evil Dead 2, from the animals on the wall laughing to Bruce and the farewell to arms bit, and there's just so many little details that are in this film that weren't in the first, that just do take this to the top of the ladder. However, I do not believe the Ash vs. Evil Dead franchise peaked at Evil Dead 2.
Okay, well, we've got all three seasons over here, so we'll get there.
So it may not be at the very top left of the S tier for me.
Fair enough.
It is S tier, though.
All right, so next is Army of Darkness. So this is obviously a well-loved fan favorite. Again, this is one of the ones that David and I bonded over growing up, and I love this. However, it's not scary. It's the one thing that, the one installment of the franchise that eschews scariness for silliness. It is fun. It is silly. There are some great lines. There is some good gore. There's some, freaking crazy skeleton effects, old school Harryhausen skeleton effects. But it sticks out because it's not a scary Evil Dead movie. However, I do think that it is still A tier when it comes to a film. It's primo horror comedy. So I definitely give it credit for that. It's just way more on the comedy than it is on the horror. But I don't think it's on the B tier. I think it's A tier.
No, I can definitely agree with that. And again, this is one of those ones that I rented as a kid, not knowing that it was part of the Evil Dead stuff, because I saw Evil Dead 1, Army of Darkness, and then Evil Dead 2 actually. That's how I ended up kind of
getting a bunch of A's in the chat.
Yeah. And hey, everyone agrees. But no, this one was one of those ones that it was so goofy and schlocky, and it gave us some of the best one-liners that everybody repeats. Like out of all,
give us some sugar, baby.
Yeah, like, this is my boomstick. She witch. His movie.
She bitch.
She wish, whatever one he said, yeah. But this movie, like, again, it was the most comedy out of all of them that we've had. Even going into like Ash vs. Evil Dead. But the cool thing is like how I've liked how this is set up is this is basically like the last of the weekend. So Evil Dead 1 through Army of Darkness takes place within a weekend of them going to the cabin.
Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2 is the same as Evil Dead 1.
I understand that. That's why there was that recap. The events of Evil Dead 1 still happen in Evil Dead 2.
Really? It's just a different group of people?
They snuffed out the whole Cheryl and
that's what I'm saying. You can't just say it's not a sequel if they snuff things out. It's a remake.
It's even talked about through the TV series.
I know, but it's still a remake.
All three movies are in one weekend, so the whole thing with Cheryl, everything still happened. They just didn't show it in Evil Dead 2 because they focused more on Linda.
Okay, all right.
But as a wrap up, absolutely, Army of Darkness is an A tier movie.
Okay, Dave?
S tier, you're both wrong.
S tier, okay.
Better than Evil Dead 2.
What?
Yes.
It doesn't have any of the scares of the franchise.
I don't need scares in a horror film.
It's just Bruce Campbell being Bruce Campbell. Like, it's Pinnacle Bruce.
I would put it in S tier, but if you guys think it's B tier, A tier, that's
I mean, that's fair.
It's definitely.
It sounds like two of us say A, one of us says S, but
I feel like that is the peak movie.
We'll put it A.
Really, you think this is the best one?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Don't get me wrong. As much as I love this movie, like I still feel Evil Dead 2 is definitely the best out of the original.
There
three.
isn't another time traveling horror fantasy
That's
film
true.
out there
That's
ever.
true.
They've never done it again. They never did it before it.
Yeah.
It is top tier time travel, sci-fi and horror, and the fact that it is supposed to be the culmination of the previous two movies.
Yeah.
And this is what happens at the end of that situation, and he has to go and live through this situation, and then go back to S-Mart and be, the housewares guy or whatever.
She still screws everything up.
So there is a bookend to the Army of Darkness being the pinnacle / finale of the story. However, we have many more.
We have more to go. All right, so
Apparently we're wrong.
D tier, S tier.
Apparently we're wrong. Everyone says that.
Austin Freitas in the chat. What up? We don't need Scare Cecil. It's a dope film on its own. All right, that's fair. I mean, if you like it on its own, that's good. Without comparing, it's got to be S. No film like this one out there. He's on your wavelength. Army of Darkness is undoubtedly an S, they say. What does the disembodied voice have to say about Army of Darkness? Disembodied voice?
I haven't watched this movie in 20 years.
So does that mean A tier or S tier?
From what I remember, I used to watch it with my aunt who was super into Evil Dead stuff. So I really liked it as a child. I'm gonna go with S because
Son of a bitch.
I also love medieval
Hey, I'm
shit.
honestly, I'm
I
kind of
love
fine with
medieval
putting an S
shit.
tier if we want to move it.
I hear A pluses. Look, I'm not
That's what I
trying to
said.
fight. You know.
So I've
what I
said
mean?
A plus. We just put it right in the line, right in the center. You know.
I mean, is it as good as Evil Dead 2 though?
By itself,
Yes, it's a fun movie.
if you compared it to other peak or not peak franchises, I feel like Army of Darkness is at
Well, that's
least
the
in
thing.
the top 5.
It's lower for us in our traditional ranking. We put up our traditional ranking, and it was number 4 of 7 for both of us.
Yeah.
So, on a traditional ranking, it's number 4. But you're right. There's so much to like about it, and it's of a higher quality for a different reason.
Yeah.
So, like, I could be swayed to S tier. I
guess we're putting an S.
All right. Look, everyone, S to A plus, says Austin.
S for stellar.
We need Fuego's opinion. Well, Fuego's not here, unfortunately. All right, so we'll go ahead and move Army of Darkness up to an S for now. What? All right.
I feel like they're using like what would Fuego say, kind of like the whole thing of
I don't
what does Corey Taylor think? Like I feel like that's where people.
All right, so the next one is 2013's Evil Dead remake. I absolutely love this film. I honestly have loved it since it came out. We rewatched it recently. We watched the unrated version.
Yep.
So we got the gory cut when it was already very gory. And I will say, outside of the slightly lackluster final boss that shows up, this is one of my favorite films, if not my favorite film in the franchise. Because it is so scary, so gory, so well done, so well shot. And, like, the score, I constantly listen to the score even now. Like, Evil Dead 2 is the pinnacle of funny and gory. Evil Dead 2013 is basically the pinnacle of scary, gory, modern horror movies.
Well, 2013 is basically what the original 81 film was for the time being with the budget. Obviously, they with now having a bigger budget, newer effects, you can absolutely do it better. And on that stylized standpoint, they absolutely did do it better than the 81 version. This movie does have a lot of good things to say about it, especially in the sound design department, sets, makeup, effects. Like the gore in this movie was fantastic. We had the girl hawking her arm off with a ham cutter, and then it just rips the
Turkey
flesh
cutter.
off. Dude, like those scenes were awesome. Same with the syringe, the fucking dude getting stabbed.
Yeah,
in the face
dude,
with
the
syringe.
hypodermic needle to the eye and the repeated face shots.
This movie does
the
have
girl cutting her own
Yeah.
mouth off. Like, there's so much amazing shit. in this
There
movie.
is. Where even when I first watched it too, when we did the rewatch, my issue fell back into the lore stuff. So with this being, it's not necessarily just being possessed. It's part of a sacrifice to raise this big bad at the end, which was not big bad at all. So that's one of the biggest problems that I had with this movie. You all right there?
What do you
Am
think?
I
Dave?
boring you?
No.
What do you think of this one, Dave?
It wasn't funny enough for me.
Okay.
It
Too
was-
horror.
It was,
Too horror.
It was outside the realm of what Evil Dead had come to mean to me.
Okay.
And while I did enjoy it for the horror aspect of it, it just didn't feel like an Evil Dead movie to me.
Okay. Where would you put it?
In the B tier.
In the B? Okay.
Yeah. Because also too another thing,
Off-screen voice?
Oh, so I just watched this yesterday for like the 5th time. So yeah, I think it's a better than the original, obviously in terms of effects and budget. And
Yeah.
like that. But at the same time, I'm a little bit of a purist. So even if it's a remake, I want some Ash stuff.
a little bit, but like, well, that's the thing. It's like this movie was it has nothing to do in the universe of Ash or anything like that. It's on its own.
I don't think it needs Ash.
Well, no, that's what they were trying to go for.
You're right.
That's what they were trying to
You're
go
absolutely
for.
right, but that means it's not, at least to me.
Yeah, it's not.
That's
in
where
the,
I get the separation.
Yeah, it's its own universe. Is like same even with Rise, and we'll get into that later. it's not. It's an Evil Dead movie, but it's not an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, it's an S tier horror film.
Yes,
but a B tier Evil Dead film.
Yeah,
I mean that equals out to an A.
Because especially too, like even with like fucking stupid little lore things. I'm gonna bitch about this real quick.
Oh, here we go.
She's possessed. She's literally slicing herself up to ribbons, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, if I buried a body that's possessed, and then all of a sudden they're not possessed anymore, and they're 100% fine. We're okay. We're gonna leave the cabin. No, that's fucking stupid. That's not how it works. I'm fucking done. No, that goes in a B.
No, it does not.
Evil Dead?
2013? Absolutely.
Be definitive. What's your rating?
My rating is an S.
Oh God, no. I'll concede an A.
I'll concede an A too.
Then it's an A.
Yeah.
Because it is an A tier. It is definitely an A tier horror film.
Absolutely.
For on its own.
On its own.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I keep trying to judge them all separately and then also as a whole of the franchise. Because
I will not accept anything below an A for that film.
Yeah.
It is a fucking fantastic horror film.
Awesome.
It's up there with like top 5 horror films of the last 20 years, in my opinion. Like, Evil Dead 2013 is fantastic. What other ones are better?
Well, that's what I'm trying to think. I'm like,
you might have your A24 movie here and there, but like this one is phenomenal. And Evil Dead, as both a remake and a film, succeeds, and people love it. So I don't know. All right,
on its own, separated from what Evil Dead was. Yes.
So now we're on to Ash versus Evil Dead. There were 3 seasons of this. So in the regular ranking, we just lumped them all together. Mm-hmm. However, for the tier list ranking, we think that the 3 seasons were different enough that it's worth separating them. So the first season of Ash versus Evil Dead, I think, is next to perfect television. It is so amazing. It is so well thought out. He joins up with Pablo and Kelly. Both Pablo and Kelly lose their fucking familial connections in separate episodes throughout the season. We go back to the cabin for the last 3 episodes with the Hand and Evil Ash again. You know, it's so much fun. It hits all of the Evil Dead 2 best points. I personally think Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 1 is A or S tier.
I personally would give it an S tier just because it's that question that we were always having ever since Army of Darkness. It's like, yeah, we've had the comics and everything like that, but a lot of them aren't really actually canon.
I love that. I've only seen the first season, but I would give that season an S. Yeah.
Yeah. This is that filling in that question.
What up, the one horror movie fan? Good to see you.
Of what Ash has been up to these past 30 plus fucking years. And he's basically just been bouncing around towns, dodging his responsibilities
for 30 years.
For 30 years,
well, no, he didn't even have to dodge. Nothing was going on until he got way too fucking stoned one night read the book for a woman in his fucking trailer.
They even mentioned he's bounced around between different towns throughout Michigan and everything, avoiding shit that's gone on.
Well, avoiding other shit, but no Deadites until he read the passage at the beginning of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Nonetheless, it's such a perfectly balanced season. Did you watch the seasons?
Yeah,
because you watched them all on Netflix, right? So what did you think of season 1?
I think season 1 was the best season. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you were going to make Evil Dead 2 into a TV show, they nailed it.
Yeah.
They got it exactly how it should be. It wasn't like the Evil Dead 2013 movie. It was like Evil Dead 2 with better cameras and more budget
and gore galore. So would you put it in an S or an A?
On its own, I would put it in an A, but compared to the other 2 seasons, I put it in the S tier.
Robert?
I've already said S.
S? I'm leaning more towards S, you guys. It's up there with Evil Dead 2 to me. Disembodied voice?
Definitely an S.
S? Okay.
Oh, dude, it's so awesome. Are you kidding me?
All right.
It's definitely the best of the 3 seasons.
Kids, don't smoke weed and drink
Nicholas
or
Michael
read
Jacobs
shit.
film says S definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I honestly... Oh, wait. Here we go. Hang on. J Nightmares. I live in the UK and it's nearly 2 a.m. I cannot go to sleep till I see the rest of this tier list. Thank you, J Nightmares. Everyone on 3. We're going to say thank you, J Nightmares. Okay? 1, 2, 3.
Thank
you,
you,
J
J
Nightmares.
Nightmares.
Appreciate you taking the time. Eddie D says S. All right, let's do it. It's an S. Season 1 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. I would not have said this had I not revisited the entire season, or the entire franchise ahead of this ranking. Like, Robert and I rewatched everything, and I literally crammed 3 seasons of 10 episodes of a half hour each, so 15 hours of material. But how awesome is it that we're in a world that I could watch 15 hours of follow-up material to Evil Dead 2, and the first 5 hours are pinnacle, and then the next 10 hours are still very much worth your time. Like, what franchise? Again, this is part of why I think Evil Dead is the strongest horror franchise out there. Yeah. Even stronger than Nightmare on Elm Street. Even as partial as I am to Freddy, as partial as I am to Chucky, there's nothing else that has as strong of first-time watches and rewatchability than Evil Dead. Season 1 is an S tier.
Absolutely, and I've rewatched all 3 seasons easily 6 or 7 different fucking times.
I've only watched them twice, but having only watched them twice, when I watched it the second time, I was just as much like next episode. It's very bingeable. Very bingeable. So much fun. You love Pablo. You love Kelly. You love all the fun stuff when you see the older people, like Linda's head in a vice. Yep. Linda literally cameos as her own head in a vice at one point, and it's so fucking awesome. So
it was a little flashback scene and everything.
No, not a flashback.
No, it wasn't a flashback.
When he's there,
he sees her skull. Yeah, that's what it was.
And then it turns into Linda.
Which is kind of funny. It's like, really, the cops didn't take the skull after that?
Who cares?
No,
what cops? We never saw the cops come and clean everything up.
Well, it's, the whole. Okay, well, not yet.
No, not at all. Yet. No. All right, so
how else would the town know?
Let's go to season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. So this is the season that Ruby plays a much more prominent role, but in a friend role. Ruby was an enemy in season 1. She plays more of a friend in season 2. We get a deeper dive on Pablo and Kelly. There's a little bit of tension there. Pablo starts to become the Necronomicon himself. And it's a lot of fun. I still think Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 is good, but I don't think it's as good as an S tier. I still would give it an A, though. I honestly would still slot Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 as an A.
Well, absolutely. Just because, like, for one, that it's the story of Ash, you're being able to flesh it out more. I loved just seeing how everything progressed. Like, it started off in Jacksonville, and then all of a sudden shit just got sideways real quick. But they also, again, they introduced new creatures and shit, between Ruby's children that are now grown up and things like that, which those were pretty well fucking done. I really liked how they designed those.
Yeah, the adult versions of the kids were way more intimidating.
Absolutely, but also too, we got introduced to
Ashy Slashy.
Well, Ashy Slashy, but Brock Williams, Ash's dad.
Right, that's
and
true.
Everything.
That's true.
We
Played
also
by the $6 Million Man.
Yep, we had a cameo from Ted Raimi coming in as Ash's high school friend.
As Ash's high school friend, and as Henrietta at the very end.
Well,
of the season.
Henrietta comes back in, but we had Sandra Weissman, who played Cheryl, come back as her character and shit like that, which turned to
Ash's sister, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's because
from Evil Dead, not from Evil Dead 2.
Because she wasn't in Evil Dead. It was just that quick wrap up of the events of that weekend of everyone getting killed.
Right.
And everything. That's also too why like his dad Brock was mentioned. It's like, oh, you killed my daughter and everything. Because for a while everyone thought that he just went kind of crazy
and killed all of his friends.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, they didn't have enough proof to be able to charge him with it and shit. So yeah.
What a great poster too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So fun.
Because that was during the promotion for Ash for President.
Oh,
and
that's
things
right.
like
that's
that.
right.
Yep.
Dave, your thoughts on season 2?
Definitely not S tier.
Okay.
Not S tier Evil Dead content, and not S tier season content. I wouldn't put it in A category simply because I feel like they had the same problem that a lot of shows have in season 2. Is they're like, okay, you like season 1, now what do we do? And they tried to improve.
It wasn't as tight
on something that was already damn near perfect. And so I definitely lost a lot of the sort of like, I found myself during season 2, not following the story as much as I was season 1.
Okay.
That being said, they definitely came up with ways to make you want to watch it all at the same time, and I feel like there was enough Pablo and Kelly and Ash to bring on other characters as well in a half-hour show.
Sure.
Because I feel like half-hour shows, it's really tough to have friends, 6 characters who all have a bit of story in every episode. So I feel like season 2 did an okay job with that, but overall it's not even close.
Well, and also too, this is where they reintroduced the time travel aspect of
Yeah, they
Evil
went
Dead.
back to the cabin, but
Because that's
before
like the whole
everything
thing
else.
with Ball and shit like that between the asylum, but also again like going back to the cabin with Evil Ruby versus the
friendly Ruby.
the friendly-ish Ruby. Yeah, disembodied ghost.
I say A2. The nice part, so I read in trivia that part of this thing is that they didn't have the rights to use anything from
Army of Darkness until season 3.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, they reference it in this one. I mean, didn't they? Did they not?
Well, it's like the Knights of Samaria and everything like
Oh,
that. They
well, no,
kinda
but that
touched
didn't come
on.
until season 3.
But I want to say.
I think they used stock footage though from Army of Darkness in this one.
Maybe.
I think so.
We'll call it that. That's fine.
Yeah, so I'll give it an A. It's definitely not as good as the first season, but man, I really enjoyed having Ted Raimi in there. More Lucy Lawless. I'm all about that shit. That's my girl. So I'll give it
Absolutely.
an A for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, it's at least an A, if not.
Yep.
It wasn't an S, so A works for me. So that leads us to Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3, which Season 2 felt like very much a wrap-up of the story. Season 3 was like, okay, we need to extend it. It definitely felt that way, but it also turned into a fucking massive kaiju demon at the end of the series.
Kandar.
And it was a lot of fun. You had the possessed mascot at the beginning of the season, and
Coogie.
a lot of really cool stuff. You had, the relationship between Pablo and Kelly evolving and everything like that. I really enjoyed. Again, the first time I watched it, I was annoyed by it. The second time watching the series, especially season 2 and 3, I just had a really great time and let Ash take me on the journey. It's like, I know you're going to make stupid decisions, Ash, but like, I'm here for it. And
Well, now-
it's just a lot of fun.
That's also when Bruce Campbell's kind of gripe with the character is it's like he screws everything up. He'll still get it done in the end, but in that process, shit's gonna get screwed up in the meantime. But no, like season 3 was fun because we had the introduction of his daughter.
we got
Randy.
10 pounds from Jay Nightmares for the
Oh, yeah.
conjoined effort. He said, "Nice one, guys."
Okay. But also too is this season was playing into the original ending of Army of Darkness when he wakes up in the post-apocalyptic land, which is where they end up ending season 3 before they got canceled, because season 4 was supposed to take place after the demons took over Earth, basically. So this final story was really cool because even they kind of touched on that aspect even from like the video games that was like into this show, which I thought was kind of neat.
I'd still put it in an A.
Yeah,
A to B. I'd be
because
convinced either
don't get me
way.
wrong, it was better than season 2, but it was not nearly
Nowhere
as
near
good
as perfect as season 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd give it an A.
Yeah, I'd probably put it in an A too.
I would put it in front of season 2.
Really? You'd put it ahead of season 2?
Yeah, like just
Well, they're both on an A. So.
On an
It's
A
just like
tier,
visually they got to be in front.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's going to lead us down to one final entry. Not bad. So this is one that I think only Robert and I have seen, right? No,
I believe so. You guys
voice
haven't
from
seen
off
this, right?
screen or
Okay.
producer Dave.
Dave's gonna disagree just to disagree.
Okay.
Me and Dave are gonna see it after we leave this house.
Yeah, I fucking hope you do, because honestly, it is worth a watch. It's just not anything new.
You talked so much shit yesterday, I don't believe you.
No, it's just that. So again, we literally just revisited the entire franchise leading into these reviews, and the issue with this is that if you've seen all of the other movies, especially really recently, you're just waiting for certain beats to happen, and then the beats happen, and you're like, okay, the beats happen.
Yeah, and there's a
And
lot.
like that's it. What I do love is that the main character that became a Deadite was played by Alyssa Sutherland, who played Queen Auslog on Vikings, and it was really cool to see her really cut loose in a crazy way for this film. The effects were amazing. The gore was all over the place. I really enjoyed the film, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoy a lot of other entries into the franchise.
I will agree, and like we even talked about it in our reviews. I would actually take the 2013 remake or reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it, over Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, me too.
The movie has like you give it its due, you know, where it should be. This movie, it looked great. It was shot very well, but it was predictable. There was too many foreshadowing moments where you saw coming a mile away and how they were going to play it off. Personally, the ending was a little lackluster and could have been better. Unnecessary callbacks and member berries that kind of just felt forced. Again, where you got to give credit where it's due, and that's gonna be in the acting, the set design, things like that. It was more so just it wasn't nothing. It was nothing new that we hadn't seen before, even in other horror movies. I don't know. I'm kind of bummed because I was really looking forward to this, and even when we were doing our trailer reactions, Cecil and I were really excited for this movie, and I left the theater wanting more and expecting more,
hoping for more,
Like
wishing we had gotten more.
Yeah, there were some scenes like that,
there were some cool things, but yeah,
what I'm saying, like there were some scenes like that you thought were going to be quicker that drug on that actually turned out to be better than the scenes we were looking forward to. Because there was one that's like it was just a quick 3-second shot cutaway after one attack, and I'm just like, it could have and should have been better.
Now, divorcing it from the series as a whole, I think it's worth putting in an A. I would take A or B, but I think it's worth putting in an A personally.
Oh, my lantern.
Look, I can't help it. Who cares?
Honestly, just.
You okay? You gonna make it through?
Because of like it. Again, it has its merits, but it still had a lot of flaws and just conveniences that didn't work very well. Personally, I would give this a B. Maybe B plus.
All right.
Maybe B plus. If we ride the line right there, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's not a full.
Robert says B. I say A.
Is it on the same level as the Evil Dead 2013?
Honestly,
no,
I would
it's not.
take.
It's
that's
not
the standard that you've set.
No, you're right. So according to that, I put it at a B.
Okay. Because like I said, I would take the 2013 over this any day.
Agreed.
Any day.
But it's not bad. It's still good.
It did have one of the best opening title cards I've seen in forever.
Yeah.
I absolutely love.
But ultimately, the opening was like
nothing.
Why?
It was pointless. It was
why?
meaningless fucking characters that
well,
did
what
nothing.
an interesting tier list ranking. That the fact that it's
We got a six-pack.
I feel like season 2 can go into a C tier.
You think so?
Yeah, I feel like
C tier.
Yeah.
What? Season 2? C?
No, I can't agree with that.
No, I can't agree with that either.
I'm just gonna say
you're just trying to break shit up.
And then season
quit
2
breaking up
would
the
be
band, Yoko.
B tier.
Your attitude is C tier.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
well, let's see what people are saying.
The two things I haven't seen, I'm just gonna put in the F tier.
You're gonna be.
You're
being a real fucking Yoko right now.
Sounds like we have a B
I'm not.
here,
Oh,
says
no.
Breaking up the band, bro.
Nicholas says the boss at the end of Rise is cooler than the boss at the end of 2013.
Well,
Family Spider Creature is awesome. Yeah, I would agree,
better.
but it wasn't executed as well as it could have been.
No, it's been done better between.
It's been done way better. Yeah.
The Thing, Color Out of Space.
Even the Thing remake did
exactly.
It better.
Yeah. I was disappointed as fuck with that final.
Definitely not C, says Nicholas. Look at the symmetry of those rankings. I know.
Yeah.
It's 3, 3, and 3. I know. It's crazy. So I don't know. We look. You know, we have some varying thoughts, but Fede Alvarez confirmed that Evil Dead 2013 isn't a remake, and that's why he has Ash's 1973 Delta in the flick, as well as Ash at the end of the credits. That's not why he has the Delta in the flick. The Delta's in every Evil Dead flick.
Yeah.
Although I don't remember where it was in Evil Dead Rise.
Almost every Sam Raimi flick.
Yeah.
It's in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah,
I saw it there.
Because that's
Sam
his
Raimi
car.
directed the.
I think it was in the Spider-Man movies.
and
Oh,
then
I'm sure.
2 of the B tiers. But
Guys, what questions do you have? So, Jay the Destroyer says, loved Rise should be an A. We just disagree. It's not as good as 2013.
Nope.
2013's an A.
Again, it didn't.
Evil Dead Rise is a B.
It didn't bring anything new to the plate. It basically
Jay Nightmare says, nice ranking.
you reheated stuff from the fridge and basically tried to make a new meal. That's what Rise is.
Yep, that's basically it. So, all right, guys, if you have not watched it yet, we did a standard ranking earlier today where Robert and I talked about all of these properties, but versus each other. The TV series is all one, but yeah, we had a good time doing that ranking. So make sure you go back and watch that if you haven't yet. Thank you very much for watching this tier list ranking. We greatly appreciate it. We have a lot of other things we got to go get done, including preparing a music video for Dylan's New Nightmare, hopefully in the not too distant future. So we have a lot of cool stuff coming. Do you have any final questions before we head out for the night?
or opinions.
Or opinions?
Mercer.
Merciless says, stay scared.
Stay
Andrew,
scared.
you jumped the gun. Movie Mike says, was going to disagree with Cecil on Evil Dead being the strongest franchise, but these rankings made it hard to argue that point. Really, I mean, there's so many other franchises that have movies that are well below B's, you know?
And this launch.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser,
yeah.
Halloween, Jason, even Nightmare on Elm Street. I wouldn't put too many below a B in Nightmare on Elm Street, but I would say Freddy's Dead is a C to a D tier movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But that's about it. The
Yeah.
rest are B tier and above.
No, like Freddy's Dead is definitely a B.
You can
Freddy's
make
Dead
an
is-
argument for Dream Child. Just
A lot of people put Dream Child at C. I would still put it at B. You need to shut the hell up over there.
It's been a while since I've
Disembodied
watched
voice.
Dream Child.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us for this. This was a lot of fun. Daniel Corey says, I'm much more a fan of the Evil Dead films with darker tones, so I'd personally put Evil Dead Original 2013 and Rise over the rest of the series. Sacrilegious? Maybe. I don't think so. No, I like it. If you like scary,
Like I said, on
that
an
makes
individual
sense.
basis,
Yep.
those are the serious, scary films.
Yep.
But as a whole, I feel like we get pretty close.
Yeah.
So before we go, I'm going to let a little bit of a cat out of the bag. I'm not going to fully commit to it, but if you guys are interested in seeing Dylan's New Nightmare, you may want to look closely at Mad Monster Arizona coming this year, July 7th to the 9th. Specifically, July 7th may be of interest to you. So, if you're interested in Dylan's New Nightmare and you want to go visit a horror convention this year, let me suggest Mad Monster Arizona, July 7th, specifically. July 7th to the 9th, but July 7th specifically, you may have a good time. So, thank you very much for watching. No official announcements, of course, but thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Rob the Wolfman.
And producer Dave.
Disembodied voice.
Disembodied voice over there. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. Until next time, remember, stay scared.
You
my
You groovy
Stay
sons of
dead.
bitches.
mouse isn't even over there.
Oh my lantern. Okay.
I can't go over here. Hang on.
Oh no. Oh no.
I got it.
Oh no. Oh no.